Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
You know what? Today we are kicking it up.
I am excited. Yes. It's been a long time since we chatted, so I was super excited about this.
I got an email this morning. I know this is off topic with what we're going to talk about here, but I got an email this morning from somebody who said, Pat, call your buddy, Senator Schumer. Mm-hmm. Call your buddy from New York. Call him. And I called this person, sent me the email. I said, dude, what are you talking about? I said, why do I need to call him? He's like doing his thing. He said, did you hear him this morning? I said, you know what? I'm doing my show. I said, so what's the point? What are you trying to say? He said, OMG. The dude mispronounced the names of the witnesses. And he said, don't you coach people on that? And I just laughed. And I said, I do, but I don't coach senators.
Yeah.
No, there we go. I said, I said, if you are just reading from a script about what's in the headlines, you need to go back to senator school. I told this guy. And then I finally saw the clip of it. And I said, man, the dude's being real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we're talking about here today. I think we're so hungry for a level of, I just would love to see people for a minute say what they really experience in life. And that's what today's about. You know, the show today is taking a look at one of, I think, the toughest things to look at. And that is looking at the confidence we have in our bodies. And taking a look at what our mind is about, what our soul is about, and how all of this comes together. But for you, you've been over there creating. I want to start out by asking you to talk a little bit about the Fuel for the Flesh coaching.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's been amazing. And just to start off, I asked, because we'll talk about it in the show later, but one of my visions was to get back to creating. And when I think of creating, I thought of creation, like whenever I would meet an artist, I would be like, oh gosh, that's so awesome that you can create like that. So I always attributed creating and creation to artists, we're drawing pictures, graphic artists, things like that, or jewelry design. It was more pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
It was more pleasing to the eye, where for me, my soul was looking for creativity to create something that would help others. And so I put it out there. That was on my vision. And sure enough, God delivered and started placing on my heart Fuel for the Flesh coaching, which it was awesome, which in essence, it's right. We have free will choices. So our free will choices can move us towards our visions, or our free will choices can take us away from them. And this is all about making those free will choices that put you on your best path.
I have to say, I know you and I did not plan this in the context of what's happening in the media right now. I know you and I didn't sit down and say, oh, they're talking about sexual abuse. Let's talk about the body. But I will say that the universe, God's spirit, doesn't make any mistakes. And so for somebody like me, when we're talking about Fuel for the Flesh coaching, and we're talking about body confidence, mind fulfillment, soul synchronicity, we are talking about a level of confidence, a level of fuel that is so deeply ingrained in our cells, cellular. And I have to tell you that, I've been watching some of the events in the media, and I got to tell you, I was triggered. I was talking to Linda, who's up in Vermont, and I was talking to Linda, and I said, man, this is like bringing up all sorts of abuse that happened to me when I was 6. And, you don't forget it, but I've done a lot of work on this.
Sure.
And you don't forget those things that have caused you to either feel good about yourself on the inside or out, or not.
Yeah.
And so the question is, are we aware enough to know that? Are we aware enough to know that? And you're starting out with body confidence. And so let's talk about the level of awareness, but let's talk about why that is so important, Jen.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's twofold. And you said it. I love what you said, awareness. So for Fuel for the Flesh, it's twofold. So the twofold is on the body confidence side of, let's just say as you experience the day, okay? As you experience the day to yourself. And then the other side of it is as you experience the day impacting others. So there's really, for Fuel for the Flesh, it's twofold. And in all instances, body, mind, and soul, is that we do things that impact ourselves, but we do things that impact others. And with what's going on now in the media and even in our world, I mean, we've lost this, like we've almost, we've turned we've just turned a deaf ear to what we're causing, the pain that we're causing people. Like with our actions, we're not taking responsibility for. And then, right, we're now in a society where not only are we not taking responsibility for it, we're then putting it in the position of it being someone else's fault. Like it's somebody else's fault that I behaved so poorly. And so Fuel for the Flesh it's a combination of coaching from the perspective of giving for body confidence, having enough confidence to know that it's not supposed to be externally, right? Everything is supposed to be internally. And also for taking the responsibility for our actions that they have on other people. I mean, this is where I feel like we've really lost control of our behavior. And more so, even like it's like constant, right? It's constantly coming out. And it's I'd like to make the statement that it has to change, but we've been saying that, right? And it's only getting worse.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting this morning. Not this morning. I was talking to Linda the other night because I'm getting ready to fly to Vermont, and I'm looking at the show you and I are doing. So I always prepare for the show. And I had a moment. Linda was sharing some information with me on, GPAT. People don't believe. They don't believe that things can happen to the body physically and that you don't remember everything. And I just said to her, I said, I'll tell you this. My view of my body, my self-image suffered. And I think still does to some extent, but suffered so greatly for so long. And I didn't understand why. Until I finally asked somebody. And one of the things that about this when you're building confidence in the body, mind, and the soul, because all three are related.
Totally.
All three are related. And one of the things I was struck by is you don't forget the details of trauma and abuse. You don't. You just don't. You may not, I may not remember the sister, the nun, that called me in her room as a 6-year-old at least 3 times a week, had me take my clothes off and beat me with an iron brush. I don't forget her face. I don't forget her eyes. I can tell you today what she looked like. I could tell you where the room was. but you don't forget it.
Right.
Now, take a lifetime of just average everyday, geez, Jen, why'd you do what, Pat? Why'd you color your hair that? What are you doing with that crazy? What are you, Billy Idol?
Yeah.
You know, and now think about how we talk to each other. Now think about how we talk to ourselves. When we come back from break, we're going to look at the work that you're doing, how it cuts through the layers and gets that, like Carolyn May said, it's a tissue issue.
Yeah.
How do we build that confidence?
Yep.
How do we do it? How do we do it so that we can put on those pair of tights, get out in that gym, or in my case, put on those tight leggings, get out there and play table tennis and have your booty hanging out.
Yep.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. This is Right by Jen. That's what I'm saying. Thrive by Jen Radio. Hey, Jen, before we talk about body confidence and mind fulfillment in the relationship here, I want to ask you, how can people find out more about you? How can they work with you? Tell us about this. And also, how can they get into the Fuel for the Flesh for a coaching program?
I know. I'm so excited about this. So visit me at jenniferzellup.com. We have a separate sign up for Fuel for the Flesh. I've made it crazy affordable because I know throughout my journey, I mean, it's been a long 48 years. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and I grew up under circumstances that led to that were under traumatic experiences. So I know that when I had gone through coaching and my work and my development, that I always looked for something affordable. I didn't want to make it out of touch for people, and I wanted to make it accessible. So so just visit me at jenniferzellup.com and sign up for it. We can start coaching. There's also other programs there that are more that you do yourself. It's a great foundation for getting going in building body confidence, mind fulfillment, and soul synchronicity that are extremely affordable. I always feel like I was never one to, it's funny, I'm a person who likes to dive in, but I completely understand when we just start chipping away. What I really learned is a little bit, inch by inch, it's a cinch. And if we can just make a little bit at a time, not even changes, just getting it going into our everyday language, talking about it makes a big difference. I mean, that's what's so important now is, right? We're bringing things to light. Women are talking about what's going on. And that's what's so important is that there should be absolutely no shame in this. There should be no shame in developing body confidence and mind fulfillment. There should be no shame in it. Again, it goes back to what you and I said at the beginning. We've become this, I don't know, it's a fake existence, right? It's this anything goes, your lack of respect and lack of understanding and lack of kindness. So it's really out of hand.
It is. And it's filtering down. I think it's one thing for us adults to be plugged in and really get a reflection of how we feel about ourselves, our body. Because if you are looking at your body and you are feeling less than confident, your mind kicks in. Right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the relationship between body, mind, and soul in this way.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You don't feel good about your body. Are you really going to put on those tight leggings and get out there in a tournament and play table tennis? Are you really going to do that?
No, it stops us. That's the whole thing. It stops us from living. Right? It stops us from living. But again, too, we're looking towards, we think this is about external and we've put our sights on externally and we can't. We have to go internal. All of these together, it's about reconnecting, right, with our creator. It's about reconnecting really on a soul level. So it's our spiritual self. It's our spirit side. So connecting with that and living in that, I call it contentment because it's right. We use the word happiness. What does happiness mean? Right? Happiness you could describe it a million ways. I think we've kind of distorted the word happiness, especially in our social media world, what happiness means. This is about contentment, right? Because if we can be content with where we are, contentment is a sureness. Contentment is confidence, right? Contentment is, yeah, things might not be going as well as expected now, but they're going to get better. Or contentment is also that confidence to experience what is in the media today, like having the confidence to stand up for oneself, having the confidence to say that that's not okay, right? That's not,
Right.
this isn't, no, it's not okay for you to treat me this way. It's not okay for you to speak to me this way. But the flip side is body confidence and mind fulfillment and soul synchronicity from my perspective in my coaching. Two wrongs don't make a right. So I'm coaching people. I'm not going to then, you attack me, I'm attacking you. That's not because that attacking, when we do it, of course we're hurting others, but we're also hurting ourselves. You can't feel okay with that.
We really are hurting ourselves. We really are hurting ourselves. I think what we're looking at too is a momentum buildup of energy, and let's call it confidence or lack thereof, a momentum buildup of energy that gets stored in the tissues and the cells of our skin, of our body. And when it gets stored there from whatever that thing is we're talking about, it could be anything, it could be anything. It then operates in a conscious and subconscious way. Now the mind kicks in. And so how can you develop body confidence and mind fulfillment so that these two are operating together in a way where they complement each other, right?
Yep.
And there are some times, right, Jen, where you don't feel good about your body for whatever reason, and you can use the mind, right?
Yeah. Our self-talk.
Yeah.
Our self-talk, our beliefs. Yeah, 100%. And I still do it. I mean, they're just, right. We have off moments where I just don't, what I do now is I don't let myself go to feed, you can call it whatever you want, good and evil, right? Good spirit, bad spirit, God and devil. I like to name things just simply because I know where I'm going towards. It's like I know I have a target, right? I know where I'm moving. So when I'm sitting there and my self-talk is in a very big negative spiral, I'm quick to be like, nope, I'm not going there. I'm going to go towards my vision. I'm going towards my visions, my outcomes. That's why it's important to have those visions. What is it that you want in your physical body? And then again, it's about, right? It's about movement. It's about feeling. It's about strength. It's, I always explain it this way. If I said to you, hey, Pat, do you want to buy losing 20 pounds? You'd be like, okay, well, what does that look like? And I'd be like, you lose 20 pounds. And you'd still be like, well, I don't get it. But then if I said to you, hey, do you want to buy losing 20 pounds? You'd say, well, what does that look like? Oh, you're going to move easier. Oh, you're going to jump out of your car. Oh, you're going to jump out of bed in the morning. Oh, you're going to be able to run and move faster when you play table tennis. Now all of a sudden you're like, yes, I'm going to buy that. I'm in. Yeah. So that's what we need to do with our visions. And every time that self-talk comes in, then we create the new habit of create those new affirmations or create the new self-talk, right? That you're going to say that's going to move you towards, that better feeling.
Yeah.
And it's constant. It's like a muscle. It's just working it. It's just constantly doing it. And now you get to the point where it's not okay. It's not okay for myself to make me feel bad. It's not okay for somebody else to make me feel bad. And those are, when somebody else says something that is hurtful, or whether or not, it doesn't matter what their intentions were. for me, it's a belief that they don't get to make me feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I can walk away from not whatever they're going through, whatever they said, wherever they said it, it's fine. But I am not going to let myself, have an impact on how
I like
feel.
what you said first. You're going to go walk away. You're going to walk away from it. I mean, clearly, look, you and I have been around a while. I work with women that have been homeless, have been abused. I work with women recovering in addiction and alcoholism. And thing one that we talk about is that person over there that is either not in support of your sobriety or that person in your life that hurt you, just say no. Just say no. I mean, it sounds weird, but it's just say no.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing to do.
It is hard. I've been there. Yeah, 100%.
I'm not saying it's easy.
Yeah, 100. It's very hard. You have to just, you just have to want that, what you want so badly.
Yeah.
And also too, I just, again, in the coaching, I also, in what I hope happens is that as you go through this transition, though, we can flip it to what position we put other people in, right? Because if you came to me and you explained to me, like, Jen, this is something that I want to do now, whether or not you have my support, that shouldn't be, right? That shouldn't be an issue. However, if I choose not to support you for whatever reason, I certainly shouldn't make it tougher for you.
No, that's right. I think in the end, what we're talking about, and especially in your coaching program, one of the things we're talking about is we're talking about how to formulate what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't remember when it was in my life where I shifted from, I don't want to think about those experiences anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Where, you have a scenario of something that happened to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say to yourself, I don't want to think about those experiences anymore. There's a shift. I don't know if it's women that mentored me, but I didn't do it alone. And what you're talking about in your coaching program is helping people get to that place where it's not about, oh my gosh, I don't want to think about that flashback. I don't want to see that person's face again. I don't want to, where you get to, what is the life I desire? This is what I desire. This is where I want to go.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that when we come back, because when you take body confidence and then the mind fulfillment and you put them together, the soul gives you a round, loud cheer and applause.
For sure.
And we're going to talk about why when we come back. Thrive by Jen. Jen Zellup's in the house. We're going to tell you how to find out more about this. Get ready to get ready.
Yeah.
That's what today's about. We'll be right back. I got my Billy Idol haircut on today, though. I'm just waiting for a little white wedding, right? What's the other one I like? The something without a face. I like that one too.
From Billy Idol?
I had Billy Idol. I'll have to dig it up and send it to you. I had a Billy Idol haircut.
Oh, I got it today. Look at that Billy Idol up there, right in the head up there with the little short sides, right? I can actually do that little Billy Idol snarly face.
That's a good one.
We won't do that. I actually have an old ping pong table tennis picture of me. I think I sent it to Benny. And it's kind of like, oh my God, look at that face. That girl, it's like, I looked at myself and I said, oh my goodness. That's funny. Unapproachable is an understatement.
Yeah. That's right. Well, it's the game face. So you have your game face on.
It's a game face. That's exactly right. Look, what we're talking about here is, do we ever want more? Do we want more confidence? Do we want more fulfillment? Do we want more purpose? And even when we don't admit that, I don't know about you, Jen. I can point to times in my life where I would never declare that I wanted more because I didn't believe that I would ever get anything other than what I was living.
Sure, 100%. Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's a whole, right? That's from things that happen to us, our environment,
Yeah.
what we were told. For sure. I mean, I definitely was there as far as, just making, I can go through a million bad choices that I made as a result of, because I have not worthiness, not deserving, right? Not thinking, like being, I guess not having that confidence of knowing that I deserved more or a better situation than what I was living. The flip side, though, is that I mean, I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't change. It's who I was at the time. It's what I was ready for, what I could experience. And I read something this morning, and it was about, us, about behaving and acting in a way, the way that what you are seeking. So if you're seeking, whatever it is, if you maybe you're looking for a higher position in a company, or maybe you're looking to start a foundation, or whatever it is, if you start acting that way, right, you're starting to live in that moment, you're starting to behave, and your actions of the person who you're becoming. That was a big eye opener for me, and it was just served as a reminder this morning. And look, this is so many years later that I've not only been coaching, but having been coached myself, and also through a spiritual transformation with God, is that every day, this is something that I do every day. This isn't something that you go through a coaching program, then you put it on a shelf and everything's great. That's not how it works. This morning, again, I have this thing now where I get up the same time every morning, even when I don't have to. And again, I go through the negotiation at night. It's like, oh, I could sleep in a little bit extra tomorrow. Maybe I will. And then I'm like, no, I don't like that feeling. I like to get up early and have my meditation and do all the things that I do. So again, it's about stepping into where I'm going, right? And doing those things. So it's just, this is a journey. And this is about people. I'd like to share with people that you're celebrating where you are in the journey, and to really be in it and celebrate it. Trials or tribulations, or, celebration moments, they really can mold us, right, into who we're becoming. And there's no shame in that at all. There should be no shame in. And the people, I got to be honest with you. Look, the people who are saying that if something happens to you and you're talking about it, and somebody is saying that, boy, that's shameful, and she shouldn't talk about that, you kind of look at those people who are saying that. Like, that's right. For me, if somebody says something not nice to me, I'm like, okay, like that just lost all validity for me to have that impact me. That's, they're coming from a fearful place. They're coming from that. So you have to, body confidence and mind fulfillment and soul synchronicity is about being able to let that go, being able to step outside of that. Like, I have compassion, right? And I do it. The Bible says, love your enemy. And I do. I really do. I pray for my enemies. I praise that, I bless them. I send blessings to them. I don't praise them, but I bring them into my prayers, because they have to be so in so much pain for them to do what they're doing. And then that gives me strength to go through, and whether it be fight the good fight, or right, enduring a trauma that I'm going under, or climbing up a big steep hill to see what is on the other side. That's, part of what keeps me going.
Yeah, it's so interesting you're talking about this. Somewhere along the way of my spiritual journey, I don't even remember the year, might have been 99, who knows, I don't know. I decided that I was going to take all these classes, right? Because remember, I grew up Catholic and Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
Right. So I had that effect. So anything to do with the catechism or anything to do with the Bible, I had plenty of that growing up. Right.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, though, when I was homeless, the way I got off the streets was for a short period of time was I became one of the Hare Krishna, we used to call them, right?
Yep.
Did that for a while because I got clean clothes.
Yep.
But then I started to really branch out. So I took some classes and I took them up here at the Center for Spiritual Living. So here's what happened. I'm in the middle of a class and the whole class is about letting go and forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
And so who was the pastor? Lynn Jarnett. Yes. Reverend Lynn Jarnett. And she takes us through meditation and it's all like calm, right? Like that. And I'm like, jumping out of my skin, of course. I'm like, all right, how long? I'm thinking, how long is this sleeping thing gonna last, right? And all of a sudden she says, now, think of the worst time in your life. Think of somebody that caused the worst time in your life. Now get deeply into how horrible that was. She's going into it. So you got another 5 minutes of that.
Yeah.
So now I got an image in my mind and I'm like fire breathing dragon, like out of my eyes. And Lynn says, now do this. She says, I want you to take the name of the person and I want you to do the following. And I'm going to make up a name.
Okay.
I praise Mary. I raise Mary in the name of love. 3 times. 3 times. This person I just spent 5 minutes remembering. And so what you said is so powerful that today, anytime I get a little bit off about anything, it doesn't matter what it is. It takes a lot for me to go into a fit. It really does.
Yeah.
I had a little fit with my table tennis partner the other day, but even with that, in my mind, I praise Rick, I raise Rick in the name of love, and then I do it for myself.
Yeah.
So what you talked about, even if you have to fake it, it works.
It does for me personally. I can only, I'll give my own testimony. Forgiveness has been a process, and it's been years in the making. And it's funny. The other day, I kind of had my own moment with God where he shared with me, if you, I don't know, ever talk to a girlfriend, let's say, and you're talking about something that happened and they're like, oh, and you could say to them, hey, do you forgive Bill? And she'd be like, yeah, I forgive him. And it was any sort of hesitation means that, right, you're still not there. It's still left to forgive. So I just look at that as that's just that's just a communication. That's you communicating, knowing yourself, knowing your body, knowing you from the inside out about, I'm not done. I'm not fully, you know what I mean? I still have to go back and forgive my enemy and bless him or her. And so I'll just do that, whether it be, again, and I don't want people to get hung up on rituals or steps or,
no,
you know what I mean? Like it's, for me, it's like a very, I'm constantly doing things like that throughout the day. I could be getting into my car and on my way to my car, I'll be like, Mom, I forgive you. Like I'm really working on it. I forgive you. I you know what I mean? I'm sending blessings. So then I get into my car and go pick up my kids. So I'm not sitting down and
no
meditating and not saying that it's not wrong or right. It's just that I've really, for me, it's important to bring this stuff into my everyday living, right? I call it everyday living with God, is that I just every day, like I'm just doing something. I'm praying or thanking God or forgiving someone or asking for strength. Versus, of course, I have my block of time where I do my more structured reading and praying. But I just think it's important to bring that stuff in anytime you can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's skip the break here for a minute. For those of you just tuning in, you're listening to Thrive by Jen with Jen Zellup. I'm Dr. Pat. I get to hang out with her and do this. And we're talking about body confidence, mind fulfillment, and soul synchronicity. One of the things I love about this is how, both of us have had to learn how to take a shortcut. So I went from that 45-minute Reverend Lynn Jardine to get me going, right?
Yeah.
To praising and raising.
Yeah.
To now what I do is 70 times a day. I don't even know if it's 70, but I had to train myself. All I say is thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, universe. In my mind.
Yeah.
I say thank you. Whenever something comes up and fear and doubt show up. See,
Absolutely.
that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's not about the other person.
No.
And then the other 100%. Thing too, I want you to talk about this. I want you to talk about, how the development of these changed you. And then Bonnie Barnard said to me, she wrote several books on forgiveness. She said, Pat, here's the deal. Forgiveness is never about you.
Right.
And it's never, she said, it's never about the other person.
The person. Yeah.
She said, first of all, you're not condoning what they did. You just want to let them go because, you got to be a little selfish around this. It's tying you down.
Yeah.
So tell me about you. What have you done to bring these together? How have they changed you?
So for me, like similar to what you do, prayer is one of those things where, there's definitely a way to pray, and that's right. We see that in the Bible, but sometimes throughout the day, I'm just simply saying, help me, God, help me, Holy Spirit, just because that's what I need at that moment. Because I think that fear is always knocking. I look at it as, in a way, when I get really fearful, I have reframed it. My reframe is when I get really fearful, that means that I'm on the verge of something, a big breakthrough, whether it be a breakthrough, whether it be really good, whether it be something, that's something that is going to change and help change the world or help impact the world in a positive way. I think that fear really comes knocking. So to me, first I reframe it and I embrace it. I'm like, okay, fear is knocking. And then I fight to not give into it, right? Because for me, what I want to do is I want to stop what I'm doing, and I get scared. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, who am I to do this? And again, that's where our body confidence comes in, right? And mind fulfillment and soul synchronicity is, yes, I can do this. So I go into my affirmations, I talk myself, right? The self-talk, I get my self-talk going. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, if somebody else is attacking me, or I start to go into that negative self-talk, I'm like, you know what? Something good is coming. Like something good is around the corner. And for me, to that reframe has been major in moving me forward and getting me out of, I could sit. I can remember in my 20s, I still remember, and I did not like this behavior. I would sit I would lose hours and recap every horrible thing my parents did to me. And it was like, and I sit back now at 48 and I say to myself, what was going on that, right? I was in such a deep hole, and thinking about, and like you said before, I don't do that anymore, but I'm quick to bring myself back to sitting in that hole and be like, nope, I'm heading out. Like, I'm moving forward, right? Because we don't want to go back there.
Right.
So it's very real. Like I share with everybody that, and it goes back to what you and I said in the beginning. This is real. Like, right? You and I have lived bad stuff, traumatic moments.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wonderful thing to show someone through testimony that, right, there's this beautiful road yet traveled. And you can really have that Thrive life that you desire, that, moving towards. And for Thrive is different for everybody, right? You have table tennis, I have lifting weights.
Right.
So, and there's, and again too, it's releasing that, because you're different than me, that it's bad or good, right? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't go like that.
No, it doesn't.
No.
And then, one of the things is, though, especially when we're talking about the Fuel for the Flesh coaching program, is that people want to know, Jen, how do I, whatever it is,
Yeah.
how do I, because, we have the best listening audience on the planet, right? And they listen and have been listening for 15 years.
Yep.
Because they get answers. They get the blank filled in. How do I love better? How do I live better?
100%.
How do I feel better?
100%.
Right?
Yeah. I think that's so important. I always, whether it's here with you in my coaching or on my show, I just always love to leave the listeners with something to do, because I think that every little step matters. And that's what I love. That's even what I love about working out, when people like one push-up, just one, you know what I mean? One is onto two, and two is onto three. Same thing with you saying, right, 70 times. All those times that you've said it, though, that has moved you one step closer than giving into fear.
Yeah. I think that was like a little trick.
Totally.
The 70, because have you ever tried to do something when somebody says do it 100 times?
Yes.
At about what point do you don't even know where you are? And so you're like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to do this 70 times in a row. I lost count.
Yeah.
And you start over.
That's right. 100%.
It really worked for me, though.
It totally works. Yeah, it totally works. I've done that.
So, one of the things that I think it's important to kind of really, wrap up with here is that when we put body confidence, mind fulfillment, and soul synchronicity together, we're talking about health. We're talking about change in health, wealth, success, relationships, faith, spirituality, manifestation, purpose. We are talking about transformation.
Total transformation.
We are talking about calling on what some people call the supernatural, or what you can't see, but yet there's evidence that we can take that invisible nature of things and make it manifest in real time.
100%.
What do you say to folks that are listening about, where do I begin, Jen? How do I do this? And what would it be like working in this program, Fuel for the Flesh?
So I am a God girl. So just simply, if you hanging up today and going about, whether you're in your car or your home, my first thing I would say to you is just ask God for help. Whether you've spoken to him not in 30 years or never spoken to him or speak to him every day, is I would just seek God, and immediately I believe that you're going to start to see things changing. The other is, in coaching with Fuel for the Flesh or coaching with me, is that, it's, I like to call it going from living glory to glory versus task to task. I feel like in the past, I've literally lived from task to task. I would write, you know what I mean? The night before, I'd write my big 30-point to-do list, and I'd feel so accomplished if I got 30 of them done. And if I only got 20 of them done because 10 more came on right throughout the day, I'd be a mess. And that's how I lived for 10 years. And so that's not thriving. So now I can still, I'm still doing laundry. I'm still taking care of kids. I'm running my business. I'm creating new businesses. And now I've just, through what I've learned and what I want to share, is that now I live from glory to glory. And so for me, that's turned into purpose, into fulfillment, into, right? I just, I got to be honest with you. If I don't know, if I left the earth tomorrow, I'd have no regrets. I'm happy. I've accomplished a lot, in the sense where I've given a lot of value, to people. And that's what I believe it's about. I've contributed a lot. Do I have a lot more to contribute? Absolutely. I just feel like that for me has been so much more real than just living task to task.
what you've talked about is so important. It really is so important. The hardest thing for me to learn was that I couldn't undo my past.
Yeah.
I could clearly appreciate and make amends for things I had done or not done, by the way.
Sure. Yeah.
But I couldn't change them. But how I live in the world today and how I move forward is exactly like you said. It's not perfect.
Mm-mm.
It's imperfection
Mm-hmm.
fueled
Mm-hmm.
by a universal law, energy, spirit, God today.
Yep.
And what I love about that for myself, around the edges of it, is love.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that I don't get angry.
No.
Well, I don't know how angry I get, really. I get a little angry, but then I don't even know what I'm angry about. It's just not my nature. It really isn't. But I get hurt. That's my, what do they call that? Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Linda says, you're like a coconut. Like people see you like with that outside, but you got that like, and I said, Linda, I got to tell you, have you ever eaten a coconut? That's soft. That coconut, that white stuff in the coconut is not soft. So I think you're saying I'm not quite as hard as the shell. I'm a little softer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the end, it's like you said, you got to build up the body confidence. You got to have mind fulfillment. And you got to connect it so the soul is completely synchronized.
Yeah. Yeah. And just in closing, I would say, just to what you just said, is that I invite you and others, and I'll sum it up quickly. I just recently lost somebody who, we thought we'd be together forever. And I learned from my partner, John, I learned he literally loved me unconditionally, and I learned unconditional love. And I have to be honest with you, I just was thinking about this the other day. I can't wait. And I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, but I almost can't wait for me to give, whether it be to another person or to this world. Like he taught me unconditional love. I can't wait to spread that unconditional love out there. And I got to be honest with you, Pat, I'm okay if it hurts. Like,
yes.
Right? I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. Like, I feel like that hurt is, I don't know, it's an alive hurt.
That's the next show.
Yeah.
I'm okay if it hurts.
I'm okay if it hurts.
Yeah. I have to tell you, everything you said about that is so beautiful, Jen. And all of us, our hearts so go out to you.
Oh, thank you.
It's hard to imagine, but you're carrying the legacy of energy from a loving person, and look at how it is going to shape your future.
100%. Yeah.
You're amazing.
Sure.
You're amazing. Jen Zellup, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for today, Jen.
Thanks for having me. This is always awesome with you.
Wow. Let's take a short break, everyone. We got another one coming up. We got another hour coming up. But remember, you got to do that show. It's okay if it hurts.
I love that. We're doing it.
All right. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.